Hi, and welcome to the Wired
and Rewired podcast all about the HBO original series, The Wire.
I'm Chris, and this is my 1000th time watching The Wire.
And this is Ellie. It's my first.
All right, so if you're new to the force or a longtime veteran, we think you'll find something here to enjoy. Hi, Ellie. How are you doing?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. All right, well, let's start. We will pop a recap. Okay, this is from iTunes.
I just got
You like that?
I love it.
See, it's a slow burn. This
so
show.
Good.
All right, so McNulty's detail finally gets to quote-unquote clone pagers. I did the air quotes there for some reason. To track,
you did air quotes, everybody.
Yeah, to track Barksdale and his gang, but nobody can crack the codes used by the callers. Meanwhile, Bell instructs D'Angelo on how to school his lookouts while simultaneously flushing out a possible snitch. Later, Carver and Herc find Bodhi, but their interrogation doesn't turn up results. The show was written by David Simon, as usual, and directed by Clark Johnson, who also directed episode 2. All right. Well, initial thoughts from you, Ellie.
Well, I loved this episode, as I have loved all the episodes, but it is getting complex and confusing, and I'm glad I watched this twice because the first watch through, there were things that I did not catch.
Oh,
so,
yeah?
Yeah, especially around, we'll talk about it later, but around Bailey's death because it's never shown. I didn't know his name was Bailey, so we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
That is an excellent point.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to say this right now.
Yeah.
This is going to be the last episode. I'm going to try.
Okay.
I'm going to try. This is going to be the last episode where I'm going to say, see, they don't tell you everything. You have to pay attention. Because exactly that. Like,
yeah,
I know that the first time that I watched it, you know, the way that they set up that particular scene, we'll talk about it, you're like, just not really even paying attention. If you're not paying attention and you see a little bit of a payoff later on, but, you know, if you don't know who Bailey is and, you know, they do say his name at least once, but it can totally
if you
wash
miss
over
it,
Yep.
you missed it.
Yeah. So cool. Well, that's good. So let's make sure that you highlight, if you don't mind, just
will.
bring up the things where you caught it on the second time.
For sure.
I mean, obviously, and that's kind of like the whole point of what we're trying to do here is like there's a bunch of detail. So
yes.
Okay. So I think as we did last time, we moved away from our scene by scene, and we are going to do storyline by storyline. Too many scenes. How many did you say there were?
Actually, I recounted 34.
34. Okay, yeah. So that would be a lot. So, all right. Well, why don't you kick off with the first storyline?
Yeah. So the first storyline I wanted to talk about is, you know, Omar and the process of trying to get Omar as an informant. So, you know, kind of starts out right after the epigraph. We see that Omar, Brandon, and Bailey. Now I know. They're on the east side. And they are drawing up a plan. Omar's drawing up a plan for how they're going to stick up this east side territory, right? They were going to steal the stash of drugs and the money. And he's showing them the whole plan and telling them what to do, how he's going to kind of flush them out. They're going to go down the alley. And then they get ready to do it. And it starts out with Omar coming down the street and everybody's saying like, oh, he's crazy, get out of the way, whatever. And the two guys that are in front of the stash house, I'm guessing, are slow to pick up on what's going on. Omar comes, he's got this long jacket. You can tell he's probably got some gun underneath, and you can tell that he has a bulletproof vest on too, which I thought was an interesting detail as well. But what's really cool is he is whistling The Farmer in the Dell, right? So he's whistling it. It is loud and clear, which I love because, you know, that song, it's like the farmer takes the wife takes a kid, the kid takes so everybody's taking something from somebody else, which is kind of pretty cool, I think. You know, of course, he says at the end when they flush the guys into the alley, the two guys encounter then Brandon and Bailey. Omar says something like, I think he says, and the cheese stands alone.
That is.
But I just kind of liked, even before that, you know, The Farmer in the Dell is all about taking something. You take what belonged to the one previous to you, which is exactly what he's doing.
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, so they've got the guns, and we, you know, just assume that they are successful based on that. Now, Omar himself, is he from the east side? Do we know? Do you know where he's from?
So they said he grew up in the Poe homes, which I don't remember. I don't remember exactly where that was. I think it was West Side.
Okay.
But I actually don't know exactly where he's from.
It's interesting to me because they're talking so much in this particular episode about all of the territories and who's running what and what's freeing up and what you can take over.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty interesting to me. Anyway, so we kind of move along here.
Wait, I have to.
Yeah,
I just want to pause something because I just realized you reminded me of something that I had forgotten from episode 4. I had mentioned in our very first episode, or actually it was the second, that the timeline of the Wire only gets broken that one time in episode 1.
Right.
And you can actually find a prequel scene of Omar and his brother No Hard Anthony, where they actually rob some guy. And so I think they might mention where that is happening in that. Okay. So I wanted to mention last time because they don't play it. They don't, hint, spoiler, they don't actually show it in the series itself. Okay. But it's something you can go find on YouTube. So anyway, the point is, I'm not sure where he's from, but I think it was the Western District, if I remember correctly. So in any case, all right. So moving along.
All right.
So, oh, wait, I'm sorry. I did want to. So just to comment about this.
Yes, please.
If you remember in episode 3, how well timed and coordinated, and at night, the taking of the stash from the Barksdale stash house was, and how it was just like this lightning fast event. Whereas this is so relaxed and he's just wandering up, and so I think it's an interesting comparison. So Omar, it really demonstrates how cautious he is and how kind of aware he is of the surroundings and circumstances and so on, and how he's approaching that. So it really is quite a contrast from what we saw him do earlier.
I think he says in the beginning too, it's like these East Side chumps are not like Avon's crew.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So we don't have to go through the same extent that we did before.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyhow, Greggs tells McNulty they have found Omar's van, and that is thanks to Bubs.
Naturally.
And so they are waiting on Omar and his crew because they want to try to pick him up for having a gun, which we learned about, I think, in the last episode. They were kind of like, a guy like that's probably packing. So they've been waiting. He's not coming. Greggs eventually takes Bubs back. I love Bubs' comment there. What does he say? He says, I don't know how you could do this without getting high.
Yep.
It's so great. Because it does look like incredibly boring work.
Yeah.
3 weeks to get Daniels to agree, a week to write out the affidavit, and then this bullshit.
How complex a code can it be if these knuckleheads are using it? But then again, what does it say about us if we can't break it?
You want to run Bubs back downtown? I'll sit here and wait for you.
Yeah, all right.
Well, I miss girlfriend.
Not a goddamn thing. Yeah, boring, ain't we?
Oh, I'm just how y'all do what y'all do every day and not want to get high. I mean, that's what I'll be asking.
So she takes Bubs back. The idea is that she and McNulty are going to try to follow Omar.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So later they are waiting for Omar to come back to his van. And this is the point at which McNulty sees the kids coming out of school, which reminds him that he has kids and his kids are going to be staying the night with him. And we may just take this little aside. We like talking about McNulty and his wife, Elena. He calls her up and, and you can tell he's having this conversation. She is not sure about letting him have the kids overnight at his place. And she wants to make sure that he's got beds, they're not going to be sleeping on the floor, that he's got mattresses and comforters, and he's like, I've got them. And she even asks what color they are, and he doesn't answer it.
Right.
He does not answer it because he does not have those GD comforters, because if you had those comforters, you would know what you got for your kids.
Oh.
You would know.
You
would answer it immediately.
That is like an A+ pull.
Oh my
God.
is
amazing that you got that. I am very impressed. I was all ready to. Ellie, guess what? You would not.
He would know, and then he goes about and he calls it. And I love that Kima calls him on it. You just called the mother of your children the C word. He said, "I didn't." A man who was less cultured than I am would say that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! It just. Oh.
Yeah, and of course, like he's like, you know what? Let's drop it. I've got stuff to do. What does he have to do?
He has to go to IKEA and get that fucking Murdahl or Kura, or I don't even know what model it is
Yeah.
of the IKEA bunk bed, but we all have seen it. And if you are Chris or I, you have put together IKEA furniture for your children, and you know it is worth having a bottle of Jameson by your side.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that there's an interesting component to it about that scene. And I know that when I first watched it, so massive kudos, Ellie. You were just like had your bullshit meter
My bullshit
way
meter is
up
very
because obviously you picked it out right away. I'm sure that when I first watched it, I did not make that connection at all.
Yeah.
And the point is that we sort of see that McNulty is not to be trusted even as a viewer. We have to be like, well, maybe he's not really.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just thought that was a pretty fun. And of course, like his wife, I think, again, when I first saw the show, I was a lot younger and I was not, I think, I don't think we were married yet. And I don't think I saw it in terms of, I thought that that Elena was being painted as the villain, right? And it was just kind of like, because that's kind of what I sort of expected, is that McNulty's the hero and Elena's the villain. But of course, she is asking all these questions exactly as you said, because if he had the stuff, he would know.
She knows he's full of shit.
Right.
She knows exactly what he's about. She's been married to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so she, of course, is actually doing a really good job in making sure that her husband has his shit together.
Yes.
So I'm sorry. You caught me totally off guard. So I was going to wait on that, but that was just excellent pull. Good job.
I like to call people on their shit when I can.
That's true. That's being friends with Ellie is a
Yes.
challenge sometimes.
I know.
I mean, I just got to keep my stuff in order.
You do. You do. Everybody does. Back to the story on Omar.
Yep.
So this is not a scene with Omar, but when they're at Orlando's, they're kind of talking about Stinkum getting to take over Edmondson Gully. It's his turn. He deserves it. But they're kind of just wrapping up that conversation. And Stringer and Avon find out that they have one of Omar's boys.
Yes.
And I think this is Bailey that they have at this time, right? It's kind of, so maybe you can explain this to me. In this scene, they're about to leave, I guess, to go deal with Bailey. And Stringer goes down. Avon's by himself in the office at Orlando's. He grabs a bunch of cash from the safe. They really make sure that you see him grabbing the garbage bag and opening up the safe and putting the money in there and closing it up and going downstairs. And he secretively goes out the back, and they show you the camera angle, the security camera at the outside of him going in. Like, why do we see that? Is it just to show Avon's level of paranoia, or is that leading up to something later?
Well,
I mean, you don't have to give anything away.
No, actually, no.
I just thought it was like so much on that, when I thought the idea was they're going to go and, deal with Bailey now.
So the story with Bailey is that, at least my interpretation is that Bailey, when they get that page, he's already dead. He basically put out a bounty on some, and
he's
somebody
got to pay the guy who killed Bailey, maybe?
No,
is that what the money is for?
Well,
okay,
that's a good question.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But my interpretation of the whole scene is they get a page. I don't understand how just with the numbers that he would know that they got. Maybe it was just, maybe they have a code that says here's what. And if you watch, just to fast forward with D'Angelo at the end, he does 911, 911. So maybe they had a different code when one of the Omar's stick-up guys got taken out. In any case, so at least Avon says we got one. So I assume that at that point, Bailey's already dead. He's been shot.
I see.
And so now that's sort of happening in the background. Then I think with the security camera, I think as you said, and we'll talk about Avon's whole arc, but that was how I saw it, is that it's just to reinforce how careful they are all the time. Like the money run, the money comes into Avon and it goes into his safe, and then and then it goes out to some other location. I don't know where the money would actually be kept, and they don't actually show it, but it obviously is being stored somewhere. It's not in a bank or anything like that. So that's where he's taking it.
I see.
So
okay. That makes sense. Thank you for explaining that.
Yep.
I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, hopefully that all tracks.
Yeah.
I honestly never
that
really
makes sense with what we know of
Yeah.
Avon at this point.
It's a good question, though, and I don't know that we can answer it necessarily, but when they say they're doing a money run, where does the money go? And actually, what was it, episode 2, or episode 2 or 3, where D'Angelo says, where's it all go? And Stringer doesn't answer him.
Yeah.
Where's all the money go? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it goes somewhere, and it's being stored somewhere. And
There
it's
are
just
all
drawn
those
down.
other businesses he has too.
Right, plus that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay. More on Omar. Let's see here. Oh, let's go to headquarters. Yeah, Bunk. He's got the number for Taiwanda, right? He's telling McNulty about that and that they can go contact the person who gave them Dee's name for Deirdre Crescen's murder. But as they're kind of as Bunk is sort of telling him that, McNulty is flipping through this thing, on the wall, this clipboard on the wall. And they're the 24s.
Yeah.
So I had to look that up. I guess the 24s are like the medical emergencies that happened overnight.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I could look it up again.
Good job.
Yes, I did look up what the 24s are, and that's when he sees the information about Bailey, John Bailey, having been shot up, and does he know that that's Omar's guy at that point? Does McNulty know that Bailey is one of Omar's guys, or does he just know that this is a guy that's probably associated with violence from Avon's crew? Do you think?
That is an excellent question.
I was just wondering, did he make the connection because of the location of where Bailey was shot up, or did he know that they were
that's
connected?
Excellent question. There's nowhere in this show to date where McNulty knows Bailey is associated with Omar.
Okay.
But he knows that somebody stole from Avon.
Okay.
He, in that conversation with
Okay.
Landsman, he says something like, you didn't connect it to this
you
other
didn't connect
thing.
it? Yeah.
And
he's
so
like,
I think
"That's
for
not
him,
mine."
he just deduced that, and he also knew that John Bailey was in the Poems with Omar's brother.
Okay.
So
No
I think he
argument
kind
here.
of pieced all those things together.
All right.
And then when I don't want to step on the next scene I think you're
Yeah.
going to get to. So
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of when it could all
Okay.
he was concluded, or he kind of threw it out there, and then
Right.
And then it was confirmed essentially.
Okay. Yeah, because then we are in Omar's place, and
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah, and Brandon's saying, well, Bailey hasn't come back. They're like, oh, he's a dope fiend. He's just getting high. That's why he's not here. And they decide to go without him. And so they go to the van. McNulty and Greg's like, oh my gosh, there they are.
Yep.
They follow them. And Omar knows he's being tailed.
Right.
He takes them to the cemetery, I guess on purpose. I'm not exactly sure about why the cemetery. But he has no gun on him.
Right.
Right. So he can't be arrested. He says he's not going to be a snitch. But they say, look, if you do get arrested, this is my name. This is my partner here. Give us a call. And that's when Omar and Brandon find out about Bailey. And
That's right.
Brandon is very shocked about that. And Omar just plays it off. Bailey had a lot of enemies. That's just what happens.
Yep.
And this whole scene is really interesting because we find out that Omar knows Bubbles is their informant.
Right.
Which is concerning to me because I love Bubbles. I don't want anything to happen to him. And then also he says, you trying to catch up with Bird. Word is he dropped a working man.
Saying you trying to catch up with Bird? Word is he dropped a working man. Hey, wait. Hold up. Come on, don't play me. What working man? What Bird? Come on, now ain't but one working man, now is there? Bird? I think your snitch can handle that. Shit, Bubbles no Bird.
So that is really interesting. And that was kind of confusing to me at first, on my first watch through. And then I remembered the only time they referred to a working man is when they referred to Gant, right? The guy who witnessed D'Angelo shoot Pooh Bear, whatever his name
Pooh
is.
Blanchard.
Pooh Blanchard.
Nice. Pooh Bear.
Sorry.
What was it? What he was
I
like?
don't
Was
know.
that Starsky and Hutch or something like that? Anyway.
I don't know. Anyways, Pooh Blanchard, right? And so that is kind of interesting. Like, why did Omar tell them that? Why did Omar tell them basically that he knows who shot Gant. Because they don't know who Bird is, right? Kima and Greggs don't know who Bird is.
Exactly. Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, I mean, I think
to make him, it's just weird because I just feel like it makes him more desirable for them to get him on something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a weird move to me that he would reveal that he has that information.
Well, I think that I don't know if he had it planned, but
Okay.
but the fact that Bailey and they're gonna. So let me answer your question directly. I want to back up a couple of steps here, but the fact that they learn about Bailey's death, Omar basically dropping Bird's name and connecting him with the Gant murder is to hurt the Barksdale organization.
I see.
Because
I see.
Omar knows who
'Cause,
Bird is in the Barksdale organization.
Yeah.
So now
you
they
take
put
one of my guys. Now I'm gonna give
right. And,
you guys
obviously
some
having the
information
police
on him.
on
Yeah.
the Avon, turning up the heat on
Okay.
the Barksdale organization is all good for Omar.
Right.
So,
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, very cool.
so I wanted to back up just a couple of steps. So
Go.
one thing also that that we skipped over, but when in the scene where with McNulty and Elena and he notices the school children,
Yeah.
if you watch that scene, one of the schoolgirls goes and knocks on a door. She makes eye contact with one of them, and she goes and knocks on a door. She's telling Omar that there's a police out there. So,
my God, I
yeah.
didn't catch that.
Yeah. So that was just a nice little touch. Also, I love how, so with Brandon and Omar in their apartment.
Yeah.
And so a couple of things about that. So Omar talks about why you have to say F this and F that.
Yes.
And
that was very interesting.
Right. And so if you now can kind of keep note, he doesn't swear. Omar doesn't.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
And I'm trying to think back. Maybe he let one slip. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is that there was a quote from David Simon about this. So I just want to read it here in the context because they talked about it. The reason Omar doesn't curse is that he has a personal code and he is beholden only to that code. Mm-hmm. He alone is deinstitutionalized and free and therefore in control of his own morality, flawed though it might seem. Everyone else is, in this sense, debased by the institutions they serve, and cop and criminal alike, their language reflects that. So just that's an interesting component. And obviously, Omar, I think in this episode really starts to ascend among for a lot of people, like the characters that you really start rooting for.
Right.
So anyway, there was that,
Yeah.
and then we talk about this scene here, and I wanted to also mention the connection or the comparison between the approach that Kima and McNulty take with Omar, and compared that to Herc and Carver and Bodie.
Right.
So Kima and McNulty, they right away see that this is not going to go the way they thought it was going to go.
Correct.
And they essentially just start a conversation. And they're like, okay, well, we understand what this is about. We know that we're not trying to harass you. We're just, we wanted to make an inroads, but obviously we know that that's not going to go anywhere. So you might as well just respect the guy. So, and I just love the initial opening line. If you were going to use that, you done use it by now.
Exactly.
And McNulty just smiles and puts his gun away. And so the whole scene itself is really smartly done, obviously, and it really establishes this is not going to be an easy out for the police. So I just thought that was, and so but obviously this is a really big stepping off point for kind of the next part of the investigation, because McNulty's a murder police, and now Omar has set him on another person. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, but that's kind of the way that ends. And I liked the other comment you made about when you watch the reaction shots from Brandon and Omar after they learn that they killed John Bailey.
Their
Like it's really
totally different.
and you just really gain a sense of who's how they're responding and stuff like that. So I really thought that was interesting. So
and it what finishes up with Omar is Wallace and Poot IDing Brandon at the arcade and telling Dee, and Dee telling Stringer, and Stringer and the boys are coming to get Brandon. And it's not going to be good for Brandon.
Nope.
I just know that. I don't know where we're going to pick up with that in the next episode, but I don't think Brandon's going to be doing too good after this exchange.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a shame and that he got ID'd.
Yep.
And yes,
Yeah.
you will learn what happens to Brandon shortly. So
Omar's heart is going to be broken.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not even. I won't. I'm not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a done deal.
Yeah.
At this
Yeah.
point,
So I mean, I usually save my predictions for the end, but with this particular storyline, I'm guessing Brandon is killed and Omar finds out, and I don't know if he's gonna retaliate in his own way or if he's gonna work with the cops on it.
Okay,
I'd be curious to see.
Let's.
I kind of feel like he
that.
will try to do it his own way first because, right, like he has his own code.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to think of him like going to the police at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see where it goes.
Okay.
All right.
Shall we move on?
That wraps up the Omar storyline.
That
I have
does.
nothing. You covered everything. Well
Well,
done. I'm just here.
you.
I'm window dressing as it says. Okay. Yes. Let's move on to the next one.
Should we move on to the pager?
Let's do it.
Okay, cloning the pager, figuring out what's going on with that. Okay, so start out in what I call the dungeon. I'm going to just keep calling it the dungeon. Philan comes down there. They're getting the affidavit to clone the pager for the number that they have, Dee's number on the pager, right? And so they're going to be able to get all of Dee's incoming and outgoing pages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of interesting. Perlman calls McNulty. I just think this is an interesting sign because Perlman calls McNulty a troglodyte. And Kima takes a look over there like, oh, what the heck is going on over there? So I thought that was a little interesting look. She can tell that there's something going on there right off the bat. So they have that.
I had to. Do you know what troglodyte means?
No, I don't. It
means a cave dweller.
A cave dweller. I was going to say like an ogre or something like that.
I kept trying to figure. I thought I would get it one of these days, but no, that's it. Yeah, troll. Yeah, but cave dweller.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so they, they're good to go now. They're all set up.
Mm-hmm.
But when they start getting the numbers from the pages, they don't make sense.
Yep.
The area code doesn't match up for where they are even, and that's when they realize that there is a code. Now, at this point, so on the computer, we can see they have these two computer monitors for these super duper old computers.
Yeah,
Kind of fun to watch. And it says payphone. So does that mean like the pager number is going to the payphone? Or they're it's kind of I couldn't understand, like, are they don't, I know they don't have a tap on the payphone.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't cloned the payphone, but they must know that some numbers are coming from the payphone.
I think that's so my understanding is that I don't know where they showed that actually.
Okay.
I think that might be a continuity error.
Okay.
Because they only have a clone of the pager.
Okay.
So unless
definitely
maybe
like a monitor that has on the top right, it has payphone, and this is before that final scene where Freeman says his bit. So
right.
Anyways,
so I think you might have caught a continuity
okay.
error.
All right, we'll check that out.
All right.
I'm very observant.
Yes, indeed.
So that is something about me that you guys can know now. Okay. So later, they find out. So they know that there's a code, right?
Yep.
So Przybylewski hears that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hears them talking about it. Freeman and Daniels are explaining it to Przybylewski. Oh, there's like a code.
Yep.
And the next time we're in the dungeon, Polk's in there. He's totally sauced.
Right.
He plays a drunk guy like nobody else,
I mean,
man. Those half-lidded eyes, that sweaty face is stumbling around.
Stumbling.
It's so good. Putting his flask in his back pocket or whatever. Yep. And he sees Przybylewski is copying a telephone keypad. And he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm copying. And you don't really know what's going on there, but he is.
I wanted to just pause there. Did you... Yeah. I guess I saw that and thought, man, that really feels like the old guard, or like old guard versus new, right? And just Przybylewski was given this challenge.
Yeah.
It resonated with him in some way. He calls it spy shit.
Yeah.
And now he's motivated to just copy the phone and look at it and figure stuff out. And Polk is just like,
yeah,
fuck this.
Yeah,
fucking
he says
detail.
this fucking detail.
Yeah. And so I just thought that was a really interesting comparison, right?
Yeah,
you have,
exactly.
Polk could have been inspired in some way
Right,
by
to
it, but
do
instead
something
he
about
just
it.
yeah. he
And
just,
instead Przebylewski,
where's my paycheck?
to
Yeah.
his credit,
Yeah.
because I know I've been talking shit about Przebylewski all
Yep.
along here because there's a lot of shit to talk.
Yeah.
But he's taken initiative on this,
Yeah.
which is so cool to see.
Yep.
And so when we kind of catch up later, so they keep on getting these pages they don't understand. It's getting really frustrating for all of them. And then we have McNulty and Greggs are coming into the dungeon, and he's paged them, and they're like, yeah, totally didn't make sense. We got it. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yep.
And Prez tells them what he's figured out about the pager code. And he's been doing word search puzzles where you like circle all the letters.
Right.
And he explains to them that you have to hop that center 5, and that is what the code. And he's kind of like, if it was something that involved math, these guys wouldn't get it. They're not educated. But if it's just this pattern, then you can figure that out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great eureka moment.
Yeah.
I liked it connected back to what Kima said. What does it say about, or how complex could it be if these knuckleheads can figure it out? And what does it say about us that we can't
If we
break
can't,
it?
yes.
And then of course, but you just have to stare at it and figure it out. And of course, like it makes perfect sense. I don't know if that was something that was actually in use in the Baltimore Police Department, but
Or
it's
if
a
they-
great
yeah.
it's a great mechanism for
I do.
getting the story.
Love it. Now I want to take you on a little side here.
Let's hear it, yeah.
Can I? When Przebylewski is describing this, and he's saying, he says these little yos in the project, and it's kind of interesting that he uses yos. So, I used to be a teacher, and I remember I don't remember the exact year. Found out later it was in 2008. I read this article about it was from the Baltimore Sun originally and ended up in the NPR. And it was about how youth in Baltimore and the projects had come up with their own gender neutral pronoun and how it was being used authentically. And I remember reading that and just thinking like, my gosh, this is so cool. I wish we could use it everywhere. And the word was yo.
Interesting.
Yo left Yo's backpack. Yo's backpack is over by the bleachers. And that
Okay.
could just refer to anybody, male or female. So they were using it all the time interchangeably. So it's just kind of interesting to me. I was just like, was Przebylewski using that because that's how they talk down there. They refer to themselves as yos all the time. Yo.
So I'm trying to remember where I picked this up, but I think so. What I had seen was that's what the police refer to as essentially these young people that are working, that are in the projects, because they use the term yo so much. It's kind of just I think it's a little bit on the derogatory line.
Probably it is. It's probably them picking up in a derogatory way, like, oh, yos.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, it served as
them
as a gender neutral pronoun.
Even back then?
Even back then in 2008, I remember seeing that because I think we were just kind of starting to pick up they, them, and some, it was when there was a lot of conversation about like, oh, I wish that there was some other kind of pronoun we had that was gender neutral. And that article came out and it always stuck with me. So when he said that, I was like, I just remembered that.
Interesting. Well, that is fascinating. And I had always just thought it was because that was a common term, like, yo, what are you doing? Or whatever. And I never learned that. That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's
it was really interesting. Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me that's how they but it also wouldn't surprise me if it kind of went the other way. Like the police started talking about it, like that's what they called them, and then eventually they just co-opted it and said, okay, that's our term now.
Exactly. Oh, I'm sure that's exactly what happened. It just kind of in a similar way, like how after the Korean War, during the Korean War, soldiers called Korean people gooks.
Okay.
That is from Hanguk. That is, how they refer to their own people, right?
Oh,
so
interesting.
They took it and turned it into something derogatory.
I see.
So I think it is the same thing, but it was just interesting to me to hear it be used again. And I would just like to say, can we please bring the yo out into our gender neutral sphere? I think that would be so cool if we could all adopt that.
It sounds cool to say, if you ask me. So
it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, more on the page. They've got the code now, and we know now that they can start figuring out who the callers are and where the calls are going to. But Freeman brings up to Daniels later. He says, they have a moment together. He says, I got to say him a piece.
Now, this is better said standing up. I've been 13 years on the shelf. I ain't bitched. It was me that put me there. But I'm here now, and I gotta say a piece. We should have had a tap at the project payphones by now. A wire there will get us the drugs. Keep pushing, we'll get a whiff of the money too. Now, I know you're serious about climbing that career ladder, and I know how slippery it gets the higher you go. But for me, I don't want to go to no dance unless I can rub some tit.
Appreciate your honesty.
You know, we should have a tap on these payphones by now. You know, the pagers, cloning the pagers is all good and great, but I don't want to do all this work and have all this lead up to nothing. We could be knowing what they're saying on the payphones, and we don't. So I thought that was really interesting, and you know, brings me back to what are the barriers that are being put in place that cannot happen? Is it Burrell again, who's like, I don't want to make this thing any bigger than it needs to be, or I don't know. What is going on there? Why don't they have the tap on the payphones at this point? Why is it like he's saying, like, Daniels, you know, I know you're upwardly mobile, you're trying to, you know, get the next rank, so you're being really careful. But what is the barrier to trying to get the tap on? I mean, of course, it would require another affidavit. Yeah. What do you think? Will it happen? I mean, don't tell me if it will happen or not. But
that's an excellent.
Like, why hasn't it happened yet?
It's a great question. The way I think about this is just. It is just like how slow the process is in general for, you know, spinning up an investigation.
Yeah.
I don't know that you would, you know, when he says we should have had a tap on the payphone by now, Daniels is not seeing it with the right amount of urgency, right? You know, they know that they use this payphone. Yeah. They get a page. They know they use a payphone. So it really feels like Daniel should have been pushing for this. And I think that is why. It's just you're not getting that kind of... If you think about how much work they did in episode 4 to try to convince Daniels to sign off on getting the affidavit. And I think that is what it is. It's just Daniel's
true.
like...
Daniel's
okay,
like, I'm going to play it the way that they told me I should play it first.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's all there is to it. And I think that this is just Freeman trying to light a fire under Daniels to continue pushing forward.
Yeah.
So, that's the best. I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
I just kind of thought, okay, this is when I've thought about like sort of the whole pager process, it's, you think if it's a typical cop show, okay, well now they've got the pager cloned and it's all gonna now they'll have all this information instantly, when in fact it's a much, much slower process, and you know, they get tripped up by this code and then that takes a while to break, and then eventually they have to move on to that. And so I think it's just sort of demonstrating like things move slowly unless you're really, really pushing hard for it. But I guess that's the only plausible answer I have. So, well,
if there's any listeners out there that have a thought about that, they can tell us too.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, I mean, did you want to share anything about that? Or should we just, I mean, basically we get all those pager numbers from what happens with Brandon, the back and forth, and you can see that lighten up on that computer in the dungeon. That's kind of the final scene.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much beyond. I think the interesting thing, again, I just have to call this out, is the way that they execute the exposition in the show. You have Daniels and Freeman explain to Prez, who is our surrogate in this situation. Then, of course, Prez explains to McNulty and Kima how the code got broken, and I really appreciated that whole process. So,
McNulty kisses him square on the mouth.
Right.
Get off me.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that but I also want to mention here, it's easy to like Prez after this.
Yeah.
And I always have to keep one foot in the Prez half blinded a child.
Yes, he did. Yes.
You are still a son of a bitch, Prez, but good job in starting to do
this. I know. A little bit of redemption.
Yeah. But I did also have just one thought, which is, it's really interesting about the police force. And I think what it demonstrates about Prez was really just, I'm along for the ride and I'm impressionable, right?
Yeah.
If you go back to season 2 episode 2, and he goes and Carver and Herc are super pissed off about this detail and not being able to do anything.
Yep.
And Prez is like, he's not saying anything there under the bridge.
Yes.
But then he goes and he commits this act of violence because
Yes.
he's just along for the ride and he's not even thinking about it.
Yep.
And then here you have Daniels and Freeman explaining this problem, and it resonates with him. And of course now he is like he's just fixated on trying to solve it. And I just think that's a really interesting story in that if you give the person the right challenge and the right something that works with their personality, they can really be successful.
Right.
And you can't make somebody who likes the word search puzzles be a homicide detective or whatever.
Yes.
It just didn't work. So I think that's really interesting. And obviously I think that's kind of when we get to the Mr. Nugget life lessons, that's kind of where I'm at. So
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If Daniels had gotten the team he wanted initially, this wouldn't have happened.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
probably not.
Right, like there is something to having. I mean, you don't want to have a Poker or Mahone on your team. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there will be something that surprises me there, but there is something to having a pretty diverse team as far as personality, thought process, experience, etc.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So that's the end. I don't have anything else to add.
Okay. I would like to talk about Herc, Carver, and Bodhi, like my favorite trio.
The odd couple, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. I mean, I don't like the beating up of Bodhi at all, but I just like where this is going. I did not expect Herc and Carver to find Bodhi.
Oh, interesting.
That totally took me by surprise. I kind of thought we were just done with that. I just thought Bodhi got free, and I did not realize that Herc and Carver would still be on his case. So they roll up in the terraces and they get Bodhi. I do twice in this episode. Carver says, get your monkey ass up or something. He says monkey ass to Bodhi.
Yeah.
2 times. And ooh, man, it is very interesting that he uses that terminology as somebody who is a black man and who also came from the projects, as he explains. Right. Mm-hmm. So anyways, that aside, that kind of was like twice. I was just like, it cringed when I heard that.
Yep.
But they bring him in to the police station and they decide Carver's going to play nice cop and Herc is going to be bad cop. And, Carver goes in there. Oh, yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm from the projects too. And what can we do? How can we work together? Herc really wants to mess you up. That guy that you knocked out, that was his uncle. And Bodhi, oh my gosh, plays the impressionable 16-year-old who's kind of scared and he plays it so well up until that part where he says,
"What you want?" I want for you to suck my dick.
You supposed to be the good cop, dumb motherfucker. What?
You can suck my dick.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I loved it. It was just unexpected. I thought too he was gonna crack, and it's just a great reveal. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that as a viewer, again, you're of the mindset, even though they've laid all these breadcrumbs that Herc and Carve don't really know what they're doing, but they think, okay, it's going to be easy.
Yes.
And you're, oh yeah, okay, let's see him break this. And of course, it goes the other way.
Oh my gosh. And they're just beating the shit out of him again. And he even says, you're supposed to be the good cop. I love it. While he is being beat to shit.
Yeah.
He is just schooling them.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
And
so funny.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things I love about that particular scene, so there are a couple, and so Seth Gilliam, who plays Carver, plays it so well. Like he looks at Bodhi when he says, "I want for you to suck my dick," and he just, You like
can
he
see
in his like
rage.
just exactly
Oh
the
my
steam
gosh,
coming out of his
he
ears.
hulks. It's crazy.
And then what I love too is that so now Carver is just wailing on Bodhi, and Herc comes in to try to like separate it. And what they do is the camera's on the door.
Yeah.
Bodhi and Carver off to one side. Herc drags Carver across.
Yes.
And that's when Bodhi says, "You're supposed to be the good cop, dumb motherfucker." And then Herc comes
I love
back.
it so much.
And he goes, "What?" And he just goes back.
Exactly.
And
Goes
on
in
his
and
ass.
start whipping him up.
And I just love that all of that happens basically off screen.
Yes.
It's all, you just have the
Yes.
view of the door. It is such a good shot. And
It
I
is
just love
great.
that scene.
Yes.
altogether.
Yeah, they continue. We find out that the juvenile intake isn't coming to get Bodhi for like another 4 hours. They're stuck there. And they ask, like, basically, can we put him in a cell with the adults and leave until the juvenile intake person comes? And the guy who's behind the desk is just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, he just gives
Get
him a
out
look.
of here.
I love that, yeah.
So they go into kind of, I guess, the break room, and Herc and Carver start playing pool, and they get kind of playful with Bodhi, and Bodhi gets playful back, and it's a fun scene because everybody has kind of let their guard down. You know, we're bored, we got all this time to kill, and I love it. And, later they've gotten him a sandwich.
Yep.
And, you can tell that there's been some conversation about what the good sandwiches are. And this one's pretty good, and they almost start up again when Bodhi starts, flipping shit at them.
Yep.
But I don't know, he kind of like Bodhi gives a little. He's like, but that was a good sandwich.
Yep.
And everybody relaxes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know why I like it so much, but I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's an interesting dynamic to it, right? Because Bodhi basically tries to, flex on Herc.
Yeah.
But then he sees, well, first of all, Carver gives us a look just to see if like anybody's around that's going to see Herc beat the shit out of Bodhi again. And Bodhi I wouldn't say he necessarily backs down, but he just diffuses the situation. He's like, this is not worth an ass whooping.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that component, right? Because I mean, now you have this little like connection between the three of them, which is just kind of a weird thing. And I don't know if this is sort of this is how you would develop a connection, but McNulty says, I had a guy working for me. I forgot, the name's falling out of my head.
Yes.
But in any case, but he's like, Kima says, was he good? He saw the street the way we wish we could. And I think this is how you would build that kind of rapport.
Right.
Is like, okay, well, if you're
Right.
make these inroads with people that are in the game, that you can rely on them.
Yeah.
And Ed Burns, who we mentioned quite a few times, he had these kinds of connections.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how a lot of his cases, he ended up making those cases. So,
see.
So the fact that they just like beat on him and then just have this little thing, like, instead of looking at it as like, again, the contrast with McNulty and Kima of like, hey, if you get picked up,
Right.
we can help you.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and instead of like just whooping on him, if they'd have taken a different approach of, all right, fine. So, what's up here, but hey, look, you can either do the time or you can whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then just a reminder, I think you asked this question a while back. I don't think it's actually ever stated directly until this episode that Bodhi is only 16 years old.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like,
I know.
they are beating a 16-year-old kid. It's crazy.
And even, related to that, earlier, we can talk about this a little bit when we talk about D'Angelo and his character arc, but Wallace playing with the Transformer.
Yeah.
He's 14, right?
No,
he also
he's
16?
16, yeah.
But he's a boy.
Yeah.
He's a boy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just drives it home when you see that too.
Yeah.
And Bodhi coming over and smashing a bottle over his head because
Right.
this is how, sometimes boys with not very well developed frontal lobes
Right.
get attention
Right.
and handle situations. And it really just drives home this fact that they are still boys. They're still, they're not adults. They're just these developing children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
tough.
that is tough. So, but as you said, like, you know, if you set all that stuff aside, like the Bodhi her Carver scenes are pretty great.
Yeah, I am really, you know, I love all the scenes with Bubbles. I feel like now I'm gonna love all the scenes with Hurt Carver, and I hope there are more. I really want to. I hope Bodhi doesn't just go to juvie and then that's the end of it. I want more Hurt Carver and Bodhi.
Okay,
please. You're not saying anything really, so I'm feeling like I don't know what that means.
it will all be revealed to you at the proper time.
I hate that. All right.
Well, this is a no spoilers.
I know.
This is a no spoilers show. So.
I know.
All right.
Okay.
I'll say this. I promise you will not be disappointed. How about that?
I will take it.
Okay.
I will take it. Shall we talk about D'Angelo and how his character continues to develop
yes.
through
I think
this
this is a good
episode?
segue because we have one more big storyline,
Yeah.
and let's talk about D'Angelo. And
So we start out with D'Angelo, basically kind of getting. So it's kind of interesting, you know, like when Wallace is playing with his transformer and Bodhi goes over there. He throws the bottle, cuts the head of Wallace, and we see D'Angelo's like upset at Bodhi, which is interesting to me that he's upset at Bodhi. I would have thought that he'd be like, yeah, that's right, Bodhi, that's what we do. But he's not. However, then, you know, he gets a page, and the page is from Stringer. Stringer comes, and he basically tells Dee, like, look, you need to let these guys know. Because, you know, everybody's like, 5-0, 5-0. He's like, 5-0 is not the real threat. The real threat are the stick-up guys, like Omar, the stick-up crews. And he tells them, I think you've got a mole. And this is my advice for what you need to do. You need to not pay them when payday comes. And whoever is not hurting for money, that's your guy.
Yep.
Right?
What day is it today? Friday? What happened on Friday?
Payday.
Not this Friday.
Why not?
No. What you gonna do? You gonna call him like you gonna pay him? And then you crack him. You tell him you're not happy with what they fucking passes work down here. And when you're not happy, they ain't getting paid. You feel me?
Yeah, but String Man, you don't pay a nigga, he ain't gonna work for you.
But you think a nigga's gonna get a job? You think these niggas gonna be like, fuck it, let me quit this game here and go to college? No, I mean, they gonna buck a little, but they're not gonna walk. And in the end, you're gonna get respect.
Yeah.
And then when that money run out, they're gonna come up to you and roll on you and ask you for an advance and shit. When they flat ass broke, them the niggas that you strike off your list. But that nigga that stay eating, nigga that's steady rolling, ain't asking you for shit, that's the nigga I want to hear about.
So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. We see too, like he gestures over to Poot. Poot's on the phone, and he's a deal with that. And then D'Angelo goes over and kind of handles it the same way that Bodhi handled Wallace.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's kind of like he does that in front of Stringer, but when left to his own devices, that's not how he wants to handle things.
Totally.
You know,
that is
like he wants to be peaceful.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that when you watch the Bodhi Wallace D'Angelo scene, Bodhi gets kind of triggered when he sees D'Angelo looking at Wallace and just kind of like smiling at, I think, at Wallace's sort of childlike nature.
Yes.
Right? Oh, look how adorable that is. And then Bodhi gets pissed because, you know, Wallace is acting like a boy.
Yeah.
And then, but as you said, 100%, D'Angelo is totally fronting when he smacks the phone out of Poot's hand. And so, you know, but if Stringer hadn't been there, he would have handled it differently.
Yeah.
So he's just got to act tough and all that stuff. So
he does.
I mean, and even like the whole notion of pressuring his people and his crew, even that was something where he's like, what do you mean? Like, this is totally foreign to me. So I have a one nitpick of that scene, which is the way that Poot holds the phone out. It's just like, it's like, here, I'm going to hold this so you so you can smack it out of my hand. That part bothers me. But, and so it just like makes me cringe a little. But in any case, as you said, like that's the whole, that 100%. And I think that one, you know, the other thing that really stands out to me is, again, Stringer understands that this is a occupation born out of desperation.
Right.
And the fact that this is the only game in town where someone's going to get a job.
What else are they going to do?
Oh, God, it's so brutal.
It is.
You know,
it is.
And it reminds me
to be able to depend on that fact.
Yeah. And it reminds me of what he said to D'Angelo back a couple episodes ago of like, you know, where are they going to, the shit is forever. Like they're going to chase that high no matter what, no matter how shitty the product is, they're going to keep going. And it's rough. It's rough.
Let me ask you this. When Wallace asks for extra money on behalf of him and Poot of D, and D he just like kind of taps his shoulder a couple times and walks past him. Like, what is the message there? I didn't quite understand. Like, it's Stringer had told him don't pay them.
Yep.
And here is Wallace saying like, I need some more until we get paid.
So I read it as he had already not paid him.
Okay.
And now
okay.
Wallace and Poot are basically out of money and they need it. So essentially proving Stringer's point that wait.
He
guys
taps him on the shoulder because he's like, yep, you guys are the ones that I can count on.
Exactly.
Oh,
and then
God.
right. And,
how would I ever catch on to this if I wasn't talking to you about it? Oh my
God.
And
then at the end, right, and it's actually a little comparison which I didn't connect, but Wallace and Poot are in the it turns out it's the and they call it the Greeks.
Okay.
And Poot says, how'd you get D'Angelo to pay?
Exactly.
And he says, well, I told him I was going to take it out of the account, but that's not what he did. Wallace was fronting there.
Yeah.
He was just like, I asked him nicely, and that was
exactly. I really just told him we're really hard up.
Yeah, but that was it. And I love there's a funny thing about that which I like too. So D'Angelo, back at when Wallace asks him for the money, D'Angelo is walking, or he says, counts right, and D'Angelo starts to walk away, and Wallace puts his hand on D'Angelo's arm, his upper arm, and D'Angelo just looks down at it, which I don't know why I catch it, but he's. I think it's a really interesting thing. It's like, why are you touching me?
Yeah.
And that kind of it just makes me think like that's annoying. Either he wasn't expecting that kind of connection, you know what I mean? And then he taps him on the shoulder afterwards, which I just think is kind of like started with this touch and then it ends and I'm ending with the touch and kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if just like that extra touch is kind of like just putting up the exclamation point on my level of desperation.
I think that's right. I think that's right.
Yeah,
so.
that I'm going to actually hold your arm and make you pay attention to me because
I think that's right. I think he must. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Interesting.
So.
Okay. Well, we next go to D'Angelo and his baby mama Donnette, and they have gone on a date to a nice restaurant, and he doesn't have a reservation.
Mm-hmm.
So tut. But he asks, "Can we have this table?" He says, "I'm sorry, that's for people who have reserved. It's Friday night. You can have this table." And so it's kind of in a more, there's like more people in that area in particular. And Donnette says, you should have pushed him. You should have asked for a better table. And it's interesting because you see him, maybe you're kind of begin thinking like, oh, he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Right.
It's kind of how you go in thinking.
Yep.
And as the restaurant scene progresses, you can tell he totally feels like he doesn't belong.
Right.
He feels like everybody's seeing him as someone different. Donnette says it doesn't matter. You've got money. Your money is good here. It doesn't matter where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, rightly so, like this is something you can't shake.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're not born into this, you don't know what you're doing. And then he goes and he takes the sample chocolate cake off of the top of the cart.
Yeah.
And nobody's like, oh, you uncouth
right.
man, get out of here now. Nobody does that,
Yeah.
but he kind of feels like he's being made to feel uncultured.
Right.
Almost like he is, but he's like almost like this environment is putting that on me. It's like it's imposter syndrome.
Right.
That's what it is. Like you can buy your way into it, but you're going to always feel like an imposter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your money good, right? D, we ain't the only black people in here.
It ain't about that. That ain't what I'm talking about. It's about where we... Come on, you know. I'm just saying, you know, I feel like some shit just stay with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, hard as you try, you still can't go nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Can I interest you in dessert?
Yes, thank you. Can I have some chocolate cake?
I'll bring the cart.
Boy, don't nobody give a damn about you and your story. You got money, you get to be whatever you say you are. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really powerful scene because, although there's an interesting duality, I think, to Donette, right? Because she is, or I don't know, maybe I have to rethink this because I thought her comment about you should have pushed him, D.
Yeah.
Like that felt very much like a kind of the game, right?
Yeah.
You can push somebody,
yeah,
but that's not really how it works in
right.
this kind of retail world, right?
Right.
You can't just you can try to, basically you could always slip the maitre d' a 20 or whatever and get a better table, but the point is that you can't really say, oh well, I don't want this table, I want to sit over there, and well, this is all we have available.
Exactly.
And then what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to walk out? Okay, go ahead. We don't need your business. And so anyway, so I thought her comment there didn't really fit with what she said later, which is nobody cares about your story, which is right. I mean, everybody is in their own world, and they are
absolutely.
Like, you see, they're going to believe whatever they want to believe about you, or they don't even think about you, one or the other. And she's right about that part. Like, leave the corner.
Yeah.
At the corner and go out and have dinner or whatever. So I thought that was really insightful, right? Your money's good, and that's all people care about in this, in this world.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can't just push people around the way you can kind of on the corner with so, but as you said, they definitely threw him off, right? The guy takes the crumbs and scrapes them off. He's like, "What are you doing, dude?"
Yes,
and then
exactly.
he's got the samples.
Crumbs.
Yeah, and I think that I think it's also really, it's certainly driven home Donette's point in that everybody that they interact with, the maitre d', the waiter, they all. There's no indication,
polite. Yeah, exactly,
right? There's no indication that they're being treated in a way that you would not expect because of who they are or because of history or whatever.
Yes.
But D'Angelo doesn't see that. He just thinks that they're just being nice to me. I mean, so the imposter show. They're just being nice to me because of what this, that, or the other thing. So,
but he in my mind, he's the one that's right. He's the one that understands implicit bias. Like maybe that's not outwardly shown. Donette's okay with it, but he knows that there's still some other level that he's not going to be accepted.
Yeah. I mean,
they don't know where he comes from,
right.
And she is right. She's like, there's other black people here, and that's fine. But I mean, I think he gets something that Donette doesn't get. I don't know how to fully encapsulate, but I just feel like he is right on many levels about what he's feeling.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think that I think in a way they're both kind of coming from a true place.
Yeah.
Right. Donette's point is accurate, which is nobody cares about your story, and your money is as good here as anybody else's. On the other hand, D'Angelo's point is right too, which is you can't just leave the corner behind. That's who you are, and that's part of who you. And there's no point in worrying about what people think of you, but at the same time, to think that that somehow you're not. Yeah. You're elevate. You can just elevate. Or not elevate. I want to be careful about this, but that you can just switch gears and be in this different environment and fit in.
Right.
It's
code switch.
It's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not. That part is not clear. It's a really dense scene. I really like the discussion between the two of them, and I definitely feel like it continues to add depth to D'Angelo's character, which I really like. I mean, Lawrence Gilliard really he's just crushing this whole series. So.
Yeah. Let's see here. I mean, let's go on to him finding out at Orlando's that Stinkum got the new territory, that Avon gave that to him. And you can tell he's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
I've been really working in the pit everybody knows I'm doing well here.
Mm-hmm.
I've cleaned this whole area up, and I'm related to Avon. Avon's, my uncle. Yeah, uncle. And but I'm still, I'm still on salary,
Right,
whatever
right.
that means,
Yep.
right? Like I'm still dependent on Avon. I don't get to start my own thing here.
Yep.
That was kind of interesting to me. That it's because it's like you can see his hesitation at even being part of this world, but then when he doesn't get the opportunity to advance in this world, he's put out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. And then, God, he's going to hook up with Chardine. And, I don't like that because I love that little Donette. I do. She's just a cutie pie. I loved her hair in the restaurant scene with all the little ponytails she had going on.
Yep.
Sorry.
Nah, it's all-
Disappointed.
Yeah.
D'Angelo. Not that I don't like Chardine, but okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
I guess I think that the interesting development in that, because we don't really see their dynamic before this. They're at the barbecue.
Yeah.
I think it was the last time. But you can see that she's not really
Yeah, they don't
seeing him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say she's not treating him respectfully, but she's definitely like.
They don't connect.
Yeah, that's it. That's
They
it.
don't
Yeah,
connect
that's
on
it.
that other level.
Yeah,
That you
yeah.
really need to with a partner.
Yeah, which I mean, I just feel like okay, but let's give the actors credit because they
Yeah.
really are delivering
Totally.
that
Oh, yeah.
chemistry
I mean,
or the
look at
lack
me.
of
like,
chemistry.
I'm totally mad about it.
Right.
Obviously, it is working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's one to say I didn't really think about it, but yeah,
Yeah.
for the actors to deliver that lack of chemistry or
Yes.
that misaligned chemistry
Yeah.
is really impressive.
And I'll
so.
say, like, I'm really interested in where things go with Chardine too, because we're seeing how kind of resigned she is to the life that she's
Yeah.
living.
Yeah.
To the point that, when this guy is accusing them of theft, she puts her own money out.
Right.
She's like, I'm just so fucking over it. Like,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So interested to see what happens with Chardine too, as she's a more interesting character than I first anticipated.
Yeah. And I think if you connect that, boy, I was not expecting to spend so much time on D'Angelo,
Yeah,
but nevertheless,
sorry,
like,
we're talking
but
about
this
D'Angelo,
is
but-
important because, but in any case, I think that the connection of D'Angelo and Chardine both are kind of aware that they're in this world, and Tawanda talks about everybody in there being on some kind of game, but they both are kind of really frustrated by the game that they're in.
Yeah.
And so even though Chardine, we don't know like exactly like a lot of her backstory yet, she tries to act honorably, and I think that's what D'Angelo is looking for as well. So
Right.
it's just so that's
that is why they connect.
Yeah.
That's why there's
Exactly.
something they're sensing about each other.
Yeah, that's right. So, yep. And I want to do the killer cameo. I love the bartender in the scene.
Oh,
She like,
she's
my
so
God,
good.
she
Okay.
like, I don't. I like.
Okay,
she
I
just-
want to throw in
just
one other
crushes.
killer
Oh yeah,
cameo
please. Yeah.
though. Okay, when
Yep.
Jay Landsman, he's telling this dirty joke.
Oh yeah.
He's got his hand in the coffee fund, and you can't even tell what the joke is. It has something to do with the bear. But the first person that walks out is this female cop, and the look of resignation and disgust on her face is so perfect.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. And it's just like a split second of her walking out, and you see that on her face. And like, I feel you, girl. I so feel you.
Yeah.
Sorry, total aside, getting off track, but I wanted to mention.
Well, the joke is very homoerotic in nature.
Okay,
and so
you know what the joke is?
Yeah, I
Oh
don't
my
know it off the top
God.
of my head, but basically it's something like a hunter's out in the woods and
Lord.
oh God, and it's basically the bear rapes him and then he comes back. I forget exactly what the story. See, I'm now
Wow.
and then the hunter goes back. Guys, I'm going to get you, and then he doesn't do it, and the bear like does it again, and then at the end of it, like the bear's like, "Wait, you didn't really come out here to hunt, did you?" Because the
my God.
hunter's like, "I want it." So if you can imagine telling that, if you can imagine your sergeant telling a
doing
joke
that.
like that. I mean, I'm
Yes.
totally screwing up the joke, and you can already tell
Yes,
that it's a
it's
gross joke. And
disgusting.
Yeah, so-
oh my gosh.
anyway, so
It's
that's
disgusting.
so that's
his booty. Oh, I did not want to
Yeah.
see his booty.
Yep.
Ew.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So we're not done. We're
Yep.
not done because we need to talk about, and actually this is good because we need to kind of transition into Avon's story a little bit as well. But
Can we? Do you mind if we just wrap
Yes,
up?
I might.
I would like to. I would
Go
like
ahead.
to. I would
Yeah.
because I just want to wrap up one thing because I do want to mention Bubbles. He doesn't have a big
Oh my
part.
God, I
he
know,
doesn't have a big
yes,
part, but I think I
yes.
want to close with Avon. So
Okay.
I would just want to cover out Bubbles.
Okay.
You know, and so just real quick because it's his scene. I think is just the scene with Kima, and then when he goes and
then he
visits
visits
Johnny in the
Johnny,
hot.
yeah.
And I just there's I don't think there's a ton. I mean, God, that scene is really dense as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just kind of like, you know, wrap it all up,
Yeah.
you know, just the fact that so Bubbles is trying to make amends and he's
Yeah.
explaining why he's working with the police and he's carrying this guilt around with him about what happened to Johnny.
Yeah.
Which is I think a really
Yeah.
important explanation. They'd already kind of touched on it a bit.
Yes.
But you know, he's trying to explain to Johnny
felt why he couldn't do anything.
yeah, and what's interesting, of course, is that Johnny's reaction is like, "Well, that's all part of the
That's all
game."
part of
Like
the game.
you know,
You taught me that.
yeah, and so that's a really interesting
I know.
connection. Is that there's this level of humanity with Bubbles that is, you know, that we kind of see that they're not the same, right?
Yeah.
And so that just it adds this depth. But then, of course, the other part of it is that really just stands out is. Johnny is in the hospital.
Yeah.
He has HIV. He's HIV positive,
HIV positive,
and now you're
and
like,
he has a colostomy bag.
right? And what does he say?
He's gonna go back.
He
He's
is
looking for
gonna
who's
go-
got the best game, who's got the best drugs.
Who's got the best package? And it's
Yes,
just like
I know.
when people are like, well, why don't people just get off drugs? It's like that is what is happening.
Exactly.
That is what's happening.
That is what's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is how powerful and destructive
So
addiction is.
you know, I mean, I don't need to add anything
I
to it. It's just
know.
like it just really drives it home that
I know
that people are when they are addicted, it is really just it's in you,
Yeah.
and so you're fighting it constantly. Okay, so
That is true.
All right, sorry.
No, I'm glad you did because you know I love talking about Bubbles.
Yeah, Bubbles. What I miss, girlfriend. But then of course,
And
then
I
he
feel
was really
sorry, really, for any actor that plays opposite him because, I mean, I'm not crazy about the Johnny character
Mm-hmm.
to begin with. It's just everything that he pales next to him.
Yep.
He just could be the best actor in the world, and
Yeah.
he's just so damn good.
Yeah, and actually, I mean,
I just get completely lost. I
Sure.
feel like I'm in a documentary. I don't even feel like I'm like this is an actor.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
weird.
you know, and that's great you mentioned that because, you know, even with when Andre Royal, the actor, stands up and he like walks
Yes.
around, you could just you just feel like
Yes.
how antsy he is and
Yes.
how like powerless he
Yes.
feels, and this is like so. That's a great
Yeah.
point. Yeah. But Leo Fitzpatrick, who plays Johnny Weeks, it really does a great job.
He does.
So,
but still.
yeah. Okay. So all right. So back to Avon.
All
We'll
right.
wrap up there.
Okay, because Avon takes D'Angelo to go see his brother,
Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo's other uncle, in whatever kind of rehabilitation hospital that
Yeah.
he is.
Yep.
And, starts out with the excuse that I can't move him somewhere else because I can't let people know that I've got this money, and you can tell that it's a horrible place just going in there. And, he sits down next to him, and you can tell that D'Angelo is totally uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And, Avon says, me too. This scares me too.
Yeah.
And, basically gives him this lesson that it's like, my brother in this state is my reminder that I have to be vigilant always.
Right,
And
right.
this is where we get the epigraph, right?
Yep. Be a little slow.
A little slow, a little late.
Yep.
Yeah. How are you never going to be a little slow? How are you never going to be a little late?
Right.
This is really interesting to me. Every time Avon tries to give D'Angelo a lesson about the game that he thinks is going to make D'Angelo better, I swear it does the opposite for D'Angelo, right? It has the exact opposite effect. It makes him more terrified and more hesitant about what he's involved in.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And we see the source of of Avon's paranoia. The very first scene, we have the silent telephone call, and he's like, I'm going to get rid of this
Yeah.
girl's phone. Now she can't have any, phone service in her place because I am so paranoid about it.
Right.
So we see that like this is the source of his paranoia. This is what keeps him ultra vigilant. But this is just one more thing that is making D'Angelo like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The paranoia really is brought into stark relief in that first scene because he opens the door. So first of all, someone hangs up without saying, like, but that happens. And now he's like freaked out.
Yeah.
And then he looks out and he sees these two kids down at the other end with lacrosse sticks. And he's like, go back.
Oh
and I'm just thinking like, Weebay was like,
I know Weebay's like,
he had
a little much.
He had a gun out, and I don't know if he was going to shoot him or just going to show it or whatever, but then they walk off. And then, so then they go and he's like, I don't want to use his payphone.
Yeah.
And I think, of course, the interesting part about that is that he himself can be very diligent, but it doesn't filter down even to D'Angelo. So, yeah. And then when he's trying to school his brother, or excuse me, his nephew, it's, yeah, I think for D'Angelo, he's just like I'm trying to process this. And so that's just, it is a really interesting, you get a window into Avon's world and you also see whether D'Angelo is really built for it.
Right.
And, so it kind of connects back to that D'Angelo he feels like he's being passed over.
Yeah.
But in a way, hasn't really earned it because at the end of the day, he doesn't see things the way that D'Angelo sees them. And it kind of, again, it harkens back to that very first scene that with Weebay and D'Angelo in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why, the rules, D'Angelo, why are you talking in the
exactly.
car and that kind of thing. And so D'Angelo's is not really internalizing it. So, whereas Avon, like, sees the people that are the ones who follow his example as well, and then they get rewarded.
And they are the ones to be rewarded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it, and that scene for sure. Like the thing that you don't learn in this scene, and I'm not exactly sure how people know that it exists, but it's his brother. He was shot. And he has a head wound, and he's basically catatonic.
Yeah.
And now he's in this home, and it is kind of interesting how D'Angelo's mother wants Avon to move him.
Yes.
But I don't know if he knows if he would ever know the difference.
That's true.
So that's kind of an interesting part of it as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Avon's like telling stories by saying, well, you
exactly.
can't show any legit money or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that scene is really depressing too. Like
It is. Yeah.
I mean, you have to have a heart of gold to work in a place like that, I think.
Oh my God,
so.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Anything else for the? I guess that's the end of his arc, really, isn't it?
That is kind of the end of his arc, and that is what we learn about Avon and the source of his super paranoia.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, and those are all the stories. That's all the storylines.
All of it.
I told my wife that this was going to be a shorter episode, and I think we're going to top it, which is amazing. Like I didn't really think this was as substantive an episode as it was, but there's so much stuff going on right now, so we'll have to be careful about how we cut this down.
I know. Sorry, folks.
No, it's so good. Okay, but you had one question, which you asked at the beginning, which is the Bodhi arc.
Yeah.
Is there a bigger lesson?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've been thinking about it.
I'm curious about that.
I mean, I think that what I was trying to figure out is, I think that there's something about understanding the humanity behind the people on either side of the law. Right. And recognizing who they are.
Yeah.
And if each side is kind of willing to see the other side, then there's value to that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if just to be civil.
Yeah.
Right.
For
So,
sure.
I mean, and so, again, Ed Burns had a lot of these connections within the world. And so that's how I took it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know if maybe there's something bigger than that.
I wonder. I mean, I'm gonna if there's more that comes from this trio, I definitely will be looking at it. But I don't know. I think there is an element like we are all people, right?
Yeah.
Like we all, when all of this other stuff is aside, we can all figure out a way to be together.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to me. And I was kind of, I don't know, I was kind of hoping Kirk would soften up a little bit more, given that he'd had that exchange with Bodhi's grandma and knew more about where he was coming from. But I feel like I didn't really see that. So I don't know. I'm curious to see if empathy comes out on both sides.
Yeah.
And how it comes out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get to our Mr. Nuggets life lessons.
Yes.
What you got something?
Oh, no, I don't really have a lesson. I mean, go for your lesson. I like your lessons.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I think that for me, so I was reminded, so it was with Presbeluski.
Yeah.
And I was reminded, I don't know, maybe I'm almost certainly over or romanticizing or whatever, but
Sure.
Albert Einstein had this great quote, which is, everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. And with Prez, I really feel like that's an interesting example of if he's got the right mentorship, they say, okay, this is the kind of person who likes this or is good at this. Let's find him something that will allow him to do that thing. And so I feel like if you're not good at something, or if you feel like a little bit of a fish out of water, maybe you're not good at that thing. So find the thing that resonates with you and then work, and do your best at that thing. I don't know. That's the one that really stood out to me.
I think that's good.
And so that was where my life lesson came out in this episode. What about you? You got one?
Yes. Okay. Now I do, actually, because the IKEA furniture.
Oh.
Do you have whiskey? Do you have some good tunes?
Excellent.
Whether you're singing them or listening to them, because that shit will drive you crazy.
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
Life lesson.
All right. Last bit. How well did the episode hold up, you think?
Oh, held up well.
Yeah.
Yes. Held up well.
Yeah. And
same struggles.
Yeah, exactly.
Same struggles.
I mean, at this point, we might just assume it holds up by default.
Yeah.
All right. Last bit. What are your predictions? We touched on it a little bit already.
I talked a little bit about, my prediction with what happened with Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, okay, so now they've got the code for the pagers, right? So I think something's going to come from that. I'm wondering if they're going to bring D'Angelo in or something, or maybe they connect that. Now they've got Bodhi and like, hey, we know what's going on with the pager calls, and they're going to connect. I mean, because they've got all the pager calls.
Yep.
Brandon's going to show up dead. They're going to know that this happened when Brandon died. All of these last exchanges at the end with Wallace and D'Angelo and Stringer. So I think that's what we're going to get into the next time. They're going to connect all of that, and they're going to figure out that this was somehow had to do with Brandon's death as well. Bailey and Brandon's death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really specific.
Yes. We got to talk about the epigraph too.
Okay.
Chris.
Let's hear it.
Okay. A little slow, a little late. I mean, this could apply to everybody, right? Everybody is doing something that is extremely high risk in this whole entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
We know what Avon means by it. But I think too that when Freeman says, we should have had a tap on this phone by now, that's kind of your little slow, little late too, right? Like, we have waited too long to do some of this stuff, and we're lining ourselves up for disaster or some major mistake later. So that's, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think the epigraph is?
No, I think that's this one. I don't know, for whatever reason, it didn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a one like, oh, that goes with that.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't as much, I think, when it where I feel like with other epigraphs where it really filters out all the way through. There weren't too many where I was really like, yeah, where's this and where's that? It just didn't really feel. I mean, Bailey being killed, be a little slow, be a little late, but otherwise, like, there wasn't as much that really like stood out to me. I mean, your point is obviously correct. Like, it's just all about. It is all about, understanding the Barksdale organization and how they approach things and how you have to be ahead of it.
Right.
And how you have to be diligent all the way through.
Yes, you do.
But I don't, like, when you think about like the D'Angelo story, man, this doesn't really fit. The Bodhi story, I don't really see it.
I mean, it kind of applies a little bit to everybody.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like there's nothing solid in this episode where the epigraph connects. Like,
right.
Ooh, that's talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you were going to, but now that I think about it, like Omar is not late, and he's not. And actually, I didn't even think about this till just now, but he says like early bird gets that worm, which I didn't even think about that. But
oh my god,
yeah,
that is so deep.
But and I might as well just point out they say early bird gets the worm, and it's like it's like midnight.
Yeah,
when they leave their place. I just love that.
Exactly, early.
Right,
that is early.
Right, that is early. So,
12 a.m.
But yeah, so and I think as you said, like there is an interesting parallel between Omar and Avon, and of course that harkens back to what you said in episode 2, which is who is the other king against Avon. And so now you see that the two kings are in this kind of metaphor are really trying to make sure that they are neither slow nor late. So, yeah. Okay. Well, excellent episode as again, Ellie, you're just, you're crushing it. And I'm a little nervous. I'm going to run out of things to offer because you're already ahead of the game, but in any case. Okay. Well, thank you as always for an excellent episode. That was season 5, episode 5, The Pager. And we'll be back next week with episode 6, The Wire. So we will see you all next week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Wired and Rewired podcast is Ellie Peterson and me, Chris Aronchek. Our theme song is Nice Vibes by Neon Beach. Want to holler at us? You can email us at wiredandrewired@gmail.com or hit us on the burner at 240-488-0060 to leave us a voicemail. We're Wired and Rewired on all the socials. And of course, if you like the show, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps other Wire fans discover the show. And until next time.
You supposed to be the good cop, dumb motherfucker. What?